There's an old earleaf acacia that I felled a few weeks ago, already starting to come back. This is the back of the property where it's really overgrown with Brazilian pepper, poison ivy, earleaf acacia, some pines, cabbage palm, a lot of smilax, muscadine grapes. There's a lot of stuff back here. Most of it hard to work with, and viney things that are really a pain in the butt to handle. But there are the occasional earleaf acacias that will serve as a wonderful biomass. So just want to do a couple little series of videos showing how I take them down and process them and utilize the abundant biomass for the food forest system. So there's the cut. I usually do one main leader of trunk at a time because I know I don't have the time to manage a whole earleaf acacia all by myself in an hour or 2 hours, whatever the time I have. So I like to do one at a time, as high as I can reach. There's no really set limit or general. There's no rule because this is just the back. Like I said, I'm just trying to get rid of these acacia trees and use them to my advantage. So now it's time to process all that material. So I'm partway done managing the tree. I like to separate the thicker, trunkier stuff to one side, and then the foliage, the stuff that was at the top, tiny, smaller branches and stuff, in another pile, because I like to use them for different purposes. The branches and leaves and stuff I like to use to reinforce the edges of the beds. I would just jam them in there with the beaver dam method that I like to do. And these thicker trunks I'll cut into segments, and I like to use them to reinforce the pathways of the system. So I kind of just dig out some of the mulch in the pathways and then lay them down, Tetris them down, and then bring the mulch back on. So you'll see that in a bit. So now I've utilized most of the foliage and branches and small twigs and stuff of the earleaf acacia to reinforce the edge of this bed. What I typically do is I kind of just look for a bed that needs a little a little extra strength on the edge, and I just interlock all the branches and twigs like I've done in other videos, and you can see the difference of just how much more moisture retention there will be in weed suppression. It's pretty bare there, and then nice and filled out there. And I've done the same to this edge, so you can sort of see how it looks once it all dries up and the leaves become brown. So it's there's something about the interlocking of the twigs and branches that, I don't know, it just feels a little bit more robust than just laying down loose mulch. What I do afterwards is put loose mulch on top of that. So this whole bed has the earleaf acacia twigs and branches and leaves all beaver dammed up, and then just regular mulch on top. So yeah, that's the leaves and branches. Then I'll show what I like to do with the logs once I cut them up. So with the thicker stuff, the logs, I use them to reinforce my pathways. See now, it's not just loose mulch. There's this platform of logs that I can bring the mulch back on top. It just makes it better for moisture retention, makes it better for the mulch as I'm constantly stepping on it, so it doesn't bow inwards. and just keeps this a really sturdy walking environment. I've done it over here as well. You can see I'm gonna cover all this up with mulch again later. So the mulch on top will really help decompose this. And yeah, there's more as well right there, and more right there. Also kind of use it on the edges too. I plan on making that another little mini row, so that'll kind of help be the edge of that row. But what I wanted to say was that putting a lot of care and emphasis onto your pathways, I feel like it'll pay off in the long run, because as trees get bigger, the roots, move around. So eventually, especially with bananas have feeder roots for days. So these bananas will. So the last video weirdly cut off. What I was saying was that the banana plants and other trees will eventually start feeding with their roots into the pathways and all around. So it behooves you to not only focus on your beds, but also your pathways. Put some TLC and some love into your pathways, and I guarantee you that they will pay off in the long run. But anyways, that's kind of my process of dealing with the earleaf acacias in the back. They're gonna resprout, and within a couple months I'll have fresh earleaf acacia foliage to go just chop with a machete in the back. I can bring it into the system to further reinforce and add fertility. So yeah, that's all.